On a frigid, hostile night, my wealthy wife erupted, her voice piercing the air. "You're ungrateful. Get out and never come back." I departed, convinced I'd be left scraping by in despair. Weeks later, her mother's voice trembled over the phone, demanding to know why I'd stopped funding their mortgage. My reply left her speechless, dismantling the illusion she'd so fiercely guarded. The clash began over something seemingly minor. Dirty plates sat untouched on the grand dining table, wine glasses half drunk, the dishwasher's faint hum barely audible. But her sharp words cut through the quiet. "You're ungrateful," she screamed, her diamond bracelet glinting as she pointed accusingly, as if I were a stranger in her lavish domain. Her family, lounging in the luxurious parlor, remained mute, offering no support. Her mother's face twisted into a triumphant smirk, as though she'd long anticipated this moment. I looked at the woman I'd shared my life with, her inherited wealth a barrier she wielded, and realized I was nothing more than a pawn to her. I didn't raise my voice or plead. I simply took my jacket. As I neared the exit, she flung her final insult. "Go ahead, you'll come groveling back, begging to stay. Without me, you're worthless." I paused, hand on the door, the silence so heavy it seemed alive. Softly, without turning, I said, "Let's see who begs first." Then I walked into the cold night. The weeks that followed brought a barrage of notifications. My phone buzzed with missed calls and messages laced with disdain. "Stop this childish act. Come back. You can't make it without us. Pride won't keep you warm." I ignored them all. Soon, I found peace in a humble apartment across town, unassuming but tranquil. For the first time in years, I slept free from the weight of their scorn. Meanwhile, whispers spread. People who once dismissed me shared stories of my wife reveling in her newfound freedom at high-end restaurants, proclaiming she'd cast off a burden. Her family celebrated her victory, assuming I'd keep funding their extravagant lifestyle. Then one morning my phone rang, not her but her mother. Her usual haughty tone faltered. "Why have you stopped the mortgage payments?" she demanded. I leaned back, letting her words hang in the air. I could picture their panic, their opulent mansion now at risk. A faint smile touched my lips. The truth I was about to unveil would shatter their world, just as mine had been broken that night. Her mother's question echoed in my mind. "Why have you stopped the mortgage payments?" I nearly laughed. For years, they'd strutted like nobility, flaunting their estate as if it were their divine right. They never questioned why every bill was in my name. I kept my tone even. "It's not your house," I said calmly. "It's mine. Always has been." A stunned pause followed. "What are you talking about?" she faltered. I savored the moment. "Years ago, your daughter begged me to put the deed in my name, because her credit was destroyed by reckless spending. I paid every installment, every tax, every repair. The bank doesn't even know you exist." Her sharp intake of breath crackled through the phone. I could imagine her clutching her pearls, the truth dawning. "You can't do this," she cried. "But I already have," I replied. "The bank was informed yesterday. Payments are over. Foreclosure begins in 90 days unless someone steps up. Perhaps your rich daughter can dip into that fortune she doesn't actually control." I hung up before she could retort. For the first time in years, I felt liberated, knowing their hollow empire, built on my sacrifices, was on the verge of collapse. The fallout came quickly. 3 weeks after I stopped the payments, a formal letter arrived at their door. I pictured my wife tearing it open, expecting a designer catalog, only for her confidence to crumble as she read notice of foreclosure. The calls flooded in. Her mother, her brothers, then her, each voice more furious than the last. "You can't abandon us like this," she shouted. "Us?" I responded quietly. "You threw me out like trash, remember? Your words. You're ungrateful. Get out and never come back. I just followed your orders." She rambled about her status, her social circle, her family's legacy. I let her rage, then interrupted. "Tell them the truth then. Tell them you can't afford your own home without me." I ended the call. But it wasn't just the house. The credit cards I'd managed for years began to fail. The luxury car payments linked to my name ceased. Utilities, staff, even her exclusive club memberships vanished. Neighbors who once envied her wealth now gossiped as repossession trucks rolled in. Yet the true blow, the one she never saw coming, was buried in something she'd never thought to check. A month after she cast me out, their once magnificent mansion grew dim. Lights stayed off more than on. The driveway, once gleaming with polished cars, stood empty. Neighbors stared openly. She thought the mortgage loss was the worst of it, unaware of the deeper snare. Her prized inheritance wasn't truly hers. The accounts her late father left were tied up in trusts and businesses, all linked to my name through years of careful documentation. I'd set up protections to curb reckless spending. When she demanded I leave, she thought she held millions. She didn't know I held the keys. So when she marched into the bank to claim her wealth, I was there with the trustees. The manager spoke clearly. "Ma'am, the trust requires joint approval from you and your husband. Without his signature, the funds are locked." Her face drained of color. "That's impossible. He's not my husband anymore." The manager adjusted his glasses. "Until a divorce is finalized and approved, the terms remain. Even then, the trust allows only limited distributions, not full access." She glared at me across the room. I met her stare with calm determination, saying nothing. For the first time, she realized she hadn't banished me from her empire, she'd exiled herself. And the worst was still to come, as her reputation hung by a thread. The collapse began quietly. At her favorite upscale cafe, where staff once fawned over her, the atmosphere shifted. Waiters gave curt nods, diners murmured behind their menus. I'd made sure they saw the headline: "Heiress faces financial ruin as trusts lock." The article never mentioned me, but it branded her as careless and unfit to manage her wealth. The gossip spread. Her phone fell silent as friends ignored her calls. The charity board she treasured removed her, citing concerns. Even her closest allies, who'd cheered my departure, skipped her events. Her mother tried to repair her image, but the truth hit hard. I had evidence, bank statements, emails, proving they'd siphoned my money to cover their debts long before her inheritance. At a family gathering, toasts turned to questions. "Why did you say you could pay the mortgage? Why are creditors chasing us now? Was he the one keeping us afloat?" Her brothers, who once ridiculed me, avoided her eyes. As their web of lies unraveled in quiet accusations, I never raised my voice. Revenge didn't need noise. It thrived in the silence I left behind. In the courtroom, she swept in with an air of superiority, her designer dress and glittering jewels clashing with her family's nervous expressions. She acted as if the law were her stage. Her lawyer smirked, addressing the judge. "This is a simple matter of asset division. My client inherited her fortune legally. This man contributed nothing and seeks to take what's hers." I stayed calm. My attorney, a meticulous planner, presented a thick file. "Your Honor, the opposing counsel is correct about her inheritance, but fails to mention it was used unlawfully to offset debts paid with my client's earnings. We have bank records, contracts, and emails where her mother urged secrecy." The courtroom buzzed. Her smirk faltered. "Furthermore," my lawyer added, producing a USB drive, "we have legally recorded footage from her home where she and her brothers admit to forcibly removing my client and threatening him." The judge played the video. Her laughter rang out, followed by her brother's jeers and my son's shaking voice. A heavy silence fell. The gavel struck. Full restitution to the plaintiff, sole custody of the child, and criminal charges against the defendants will proceed. Her lawyer sank, her family blanched, and she stood motionless as her world fell apart. Holding my son's hand as we left, the air felt vibrant with freedom. The ruling sparked a media storm. By evening, headlines screamed, "Heiress loses fortune in court scandal." Reporters besieged their mansion. Her mother's voice cracked on live television, claiming a misunderstanding, but no one cared. Her brothers faced arrest for assault and coercion, their bravado replaced by fear as police escorted them away. One shouted, "You'll pay for this." But their punishment was already underway. Her mother's social circle vanished, investors fled and banks froze accounts. My wife, who once mocked me as I left, was left with only debts and shame. Her millions vanished in restitution and lawsuits. Her desperate messages flooded my phone, shifting from threats to pleas. You can't do this. Think of the children. I didn't mean it. We can fix this. I never replied. When her mother appeared at my door, eyes sunken, she whispered, You've destroyed us. Our legacy, our wealth, why? I met her gaze. I didn't destroy you. Your greed did. I shut the door. My son hugged me tightly. Dad, we won, didn't we? He asked. I smiled. No, son. We didn't just win. We showed them respect can't be reclaimed once it's thrown away. 3 months later, passing the courthouse with my son after his school play, I saw her amid a throng of reporters. Gone were her elegant gowns and sparkling jewels. In a tattered coat, hair unkempt, eyes tired, she clung to her mother's arm. A reporter yelled, How does it feel to lose your fortune and face charges with your brothers? She flinched, silent. Our eyes locked, and the world seemed to pause. She opened her mouth, perhaps to say my name or plead. Before she could, my son tugged my hand, saying loudly, Dad, isn't that the woman who told you to leave forever? Her lips trembled as cameras swiveled, capturing her disgrace. I knelt smiling at my boy. Yes, she is. Hand in hand, we walked past the chaos, past the woman who thought herself untouchable. She had demanded I leave and never return. Now she lived by her own words, with no way back. Was this justice perfectly delivered, or should the consequences have struck harder? Share your thoughts. I read every word. Like if you crave fairness, and share this story with someone who needs its fire. Betrayals don't sleep, they hunt their creators. Every shadow carries a price, every mask falls, and every lie meets its reckoning. Stay watchful. Stay steadfast. Stay engaged.